have no words at this time. Like, genuinely, this could just be an hour of me sitting here crying. It could be an hour of me sitting here screaming, throwing up, whatever it is. I have no gas left in the tank, which is funny because that is exactly how the Eagles looked on Sunday when they got blown out, embarrassed, hoodwinked, humbled, sent packing by the New York Giants. Okay, a team that had nothing to play for. We said on Friday it had more. There were more reasons for the Giants to lose that game than there were to win. There were more reasons for the Eagles to win that game than lose. The Eagles had to win, the Giants had to lose, and somehow they get not only just a loss, not only a contested loss, but blown out by a Giants team on their 7th string quarterback, their 8th string wideouts. It was just embarrassing. And the worst part is, okay, I missed the game. I had something else going on the Sunday night personally. I couldn't watch it, but I thought, okay, it's fine.
Microphone's gone. I think we're back, potentially. Tech difficulties. Do you know what? The Eagles can't show up for me. I won't show up for them.
You worry about it. But again, I had something personal on. Couldn't watch the game. Saw the score. Was obviously eviscerated with anger. And I decided, believe it or not, I decided that I should watch the game. That, if I'm going to do this stream, if I'm going to write the articles, if I'm going to talk about this Eagles team ahead of the Tampa Bay game, I need to understand what's going on. I need to see how bad it was. And my God, do I wish it hadn't. There is nothing I regret more currently in my life than forcing myself to watch that game. Okay, give us some. We will get to some of your comments. I know we've got a fair few of you in the chat today. We've got 14 of you on YouTube, another 10 on Twitter right now. Thank you for watching and hanging out for what will be an anger-filled stream. K1, unfortunately, there will be no graphics. This is no time for graphics. This is just pure outrage and outburst. There'll be graphics for Tampa Bay, but for now, they don't deserve graphics. The only graphics will just be a big poo emoji on the middle of the screen. Isaac doesn't like watching football anymore, and Kylie says, what's happening to our team? I don't know. I really don't know. Diedrich comes in, to be honest, F this team. It's so disappointing. And there is nothing you can say anymore. Because every week I feel like I come in with a new thesis, a new idea, a new potential reason as to why everything is going so tits up. And then a week passes by, they lose again, and then I'm like, oh, it can't be that, therefore it must be this. And you're just going round in circles. And we are coming off a week where AJ Brown called a players-only meeting, something which only took 17 weeks. But hey, a players-only meeting was called. AJ Brown was there. Great, lovely. They organise air hockey together. They have a lovely little trip, lovely little wholesome tea. It's done nothing. It's done absolutely nothing. You've got reports that Matt Patricia's come in with his entire new term, just ripped up Sean Desai's playbook and his terminology. He completely changed that and decided to throw out his own. Decided to put his own spin on things, which is only... If you've got a defense that is struggling, why would you change the verbiage as to what plays are called? For starters, forget anything else about what we see on the field. Why on God's green earth would you take a team that has been blown out by the Cowboys, blown out by the Niners, barely beat the Giants, and then lost 2 more games and go, what this team needs is to go from Skyhawks 3 cover 0 to Skyhawks 7Y spider bat banana 12. That will fix everything. That will make them play better. Let's confuse them. Do the same thing, just change what it's called. Because nothing says success like really not understanding whatever it is you're doing. Absolutely ridiculous from any standpoint. You've got, the decision to play the starters, I backed. I think the Eagles had to do it to give themselves a chance to win the NFC East. But you lose AJ Brown, Sidney Brown, Jalen Hurts within 10 minutes of the game. That's brilliant. Well done. I mean, whether the AJ injury was phantom, I saw some jokes on Twitter. I mean, I'm assuming it's not. But then you've got the Dallas Goddard thing of Dallas at his locker room saying, well, tell you what, since we've got the playoffs, we're just waiting for the playoffs. That's what we're doing. We're waiting for the playoffs. So forget anything else. These games, these schmames, we're waiting for the playoffs. So what? You're going to go through 7 weeks of being embarrassed, having your pants pulled down, being punched in the mouth, not retaliating because it doesn't matter, it's not the playoffs. We won't give our best. We're going to do is coast. We're going to coast until we get to the playoffs. And when we get there, then we're going to catch fire. Then we're going to show the world what they're missing. Then we're going to unveil this whole new offense we've been hiding all season. And look, that's lovely in premise, okay? There have been, theories on Twitter that the Eagles are hiding this secret, schemy offense that they're only going to unleash when the playoffs roll around. But even if by some miracle of God that was even a thing, you've still got a game of it on tape. And you've still got to play an extra game of it on tape. So regardless, you're going to go and you have to face Tampa Bay in the wildcard week, okay? So let's say they roll out this phantom new offense that no one has seen and it's all a big plan and they're being bad on purpose. You've got a week of it on tape, okay? The Eagles team can't adjust. They've got a week of it on tape. You then go to the second week where you're going to face Dallas. They've seen you twice already. What, you're going to a phantom offense is going to catch them off guard, is it? We're talking about a playoff level, championship level team. They're just going to be surprised by anything that you, Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni can scheme up, which I'm assuming by this point is a QB draw or a screen. Something tells me no matter what you're drawing up back there, it could be the reinvention of Chip Kelly's Oregon offense. But at the end of the day, it's going to come out looking like mulled wine mixed in with turkey giblets. Like, it's just not gonna, it's pathetic. Like, and then by that, but if that is somehow still enough, you've then got a third game against the Niners and that defense, and apparently that's what, so you've made a whole ruse of you being bad for weeks to then bring out this phantom offense and defense that will blister through two teams, and then also somehow that, like, shut up, doesn't make sense, absolutely stupid. That is borderline delusion from anyone suggesting it. And it's pathetic, all right? And the next, I know this is going to be an unhinged rant, okay? And I promise I will get to some of your comments. I'm glad we're all going through this therapy session together right now. But I've seen comments saying, should Nick Sirianni be on the hot seat, yes or no? Some people are saying absolutely he should. Other fans are saying, no, 3 straight playoffs. We made a Super Bowl last year. That's lovely, okay? But I said this earlier. Nick Sirianni inherited a team that was good, trending better. Howie Roseman sniffed crack, sorted the roster out so it could make a Super Bowl, and then you have got a Super Bowl level roster playing a cupcake schedule last year. I don't care who you are. The main takeaway from last year was Jalen Hurts was better than anyone could have ever expected, and he propelled them to that Super Bowl, okay? So you're telling me the expectation, like, I'll word it this way. If you fire Nick Sirianni and you bring someone else in, what is the expectation for that head coach? Okay? What is it? It doesn't matter who it is. Okay? It could be Dick Nightingale, whatever it's called, whoever. Florence Nightingale, Florence and the Machine, I don't care. Florence Pugh, I don't know where Florence came from. Whoever is head coach of this team next year, what is your expectation? Because it damn sure isn't getting 10 wins and then going 1-5. And 2 of those teams being the Cardinals and the Giants. It's just not your expectation. This is a Super Bowl level team. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Go through the positional groups. Elite receivers, elite quarterback, a top 5 rushing offense, elite offensive line, formerly a top 5 tight end. And you're telling me that offense should be, it's okay. It's okay that they're losing to the Cardinals. And we love Nick Sirianni. No. It doesn't, no. You've got, no, stop. You've got an elite offense. You've got an elite offense, and you've got a defensive line with cornerstones for 4 or 5 years to come in Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, who apparently now is the size of the great Yakazaki sumo wrestler, all right? You've got linebackers that do nothing, that ignore them, but you've got a defense that, realistically, 2 great corners coming into this year. Slay had nearly a career year outside of that phantom 13 pick season. And James Bradbury at the best he ever had. There is no way that defense should regress as much as it has. There isn't. You cannot get, right, Nick Sirianni on a pedestal and say, yeah, but we've made the playoffs. As you should. You should be at the bare minimum. The bare minimum is you make the playoffs. What do you want? What, you want a free cupcake? You want to get your Dunkin' Donuts free coffee, do you? You want to go down there? That's on the house, Nick. That macchiato's on the house because you made the playoffs with an elite team. Well done, Nick Sirianni. Have your car from your local dealership for free because you made the playoffs. You took an elite team, walked into an exam, and you got a C grade, and you're happy with it. Absolutely not. Anyone saying Sirianni shouldn't be on the hot seat is rose tinted, midnight green tinted glasses on. Don't really understand what's going on. That you do not have an elite level team. If the Chiefs were 10-1 or whatever bollocks it was, and they end up 11-5, you're telling me Andy Reid wouldn't be on the hot seat? The same can be said with McDermott and the Bills. The same can be said for any other team in the NFL. Dan Campbell and the Lions. No team should get to 10 wins, is good enough to get to 10 wins, and then blows 5. It doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen. And look, I'm not calling for his head. I'm not assuming he should be fired. But you do not accept that as a standard. And I said weeks ago, I've said this weeks ago, okay? All the Eagles have said all year long is that we're not playing to the standard, all right? And I'll rehash that same rant again. What is the standard? Because the standard, by definition, is an average base of something, okay? If your standard weekly shop is getting cheeseburgers and pizzas, that's your standard diet, not the one protein shake you have because you feel you should be doing a bit better, okay? That's not how it works, okay? The standard for this Eagles team is shoddy offensive play, poor play calling, horrific execution, turnover-ridden, soulless, lifeless, just lack of motivation, don't care, whimsical football. It's embarrassing. That's the standard. And believe me, they're playing to that every single week. There is not a shadow of a doubt. They're meeting that standard every single day. So if you want to play to the standard, Nick, Jalen, whoever else is going to harp on about this mythical thing, pat yourselves on the back. Do a Darius Slay. Start retweeting yourself. Start finding highlights and stats that conform to your narrative of the standard because you're meeting it week in and week out. You can take your turnover margin and go, wow, we're doing really well. We're doing really well, guys. You should not be limping into a playoff game against Tampa Bay, right, who somehow scored 3 field goals to beat the Panthers, by the way. A team that has had 2 wins all year. 3 field goals it took. Not a single touchdown. And they're going into this game. And I'm amazed Tampa Bay aren't overwhelming favourites. Because somehow the Eagles have looked even worse than that. The Eagles don't deserve to be in the playoffs. We've said all year long, they're a 10-win team. They deserve 10 wins because they've won 10 games. No, they don't. They don't deserve the playoffs. They don't deserve 10 wins. What they deserve is a smack round the back of the head and a wake-up call that this is horrific. The standard isn't playoffs anymore. 2021, Nick Sirianni, the standard was the playoffs. Well done. You took a young quarterback, a team that had just come off the back of a horrific, toxic meltdown, and you sent them to the playoffs. Well done. You deserve your credit. Have your roses, have your flowers. Year 2, you had an elite team. You took them where they should have been. Howie Roseman went all in on that team last year with guys like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on cheap free agent deals on 1-year expirations to send them over the top to capitalize on a weak schedule. What was left was a great team. Great teams make the playoffs. That is the standard of this team. You cannot limp into the playoffs getting 27 dropped on you by the Giants. 27, all right? And do you know what? I think I'll say this, right? And then we'll get to some of your comments because I know I'm going to blow out my voice box in a minute. Nothing would highlight a bad offensive scheme more than if you take the star players out of it, okay? And I want to touch on this anyway because I know Duck, before the stream even started, put a comment in about Wink Martindale or Florence Nightingale or whoever it is. And should they be brought in? And my opinion, as it's been for a long time with coordinators and coaches, is that you should target people that have done great things with bad teams, not a great coach from a great team, because you don't know what the development has been. Like, for me, it's much easier. Like, someone, for instance, and obviously it won't happen for a million reasons and it physically can't, but D'Amico Ryans is probably the best example of a coach that has taken a poor to averagely trending upward team, done something great with them. Dan Campbell, another. They're the coordinators for the Texans, the Lions that you would be looking at because they've taken bad things and turn water into wine. Okay? You do not look at, in my opinion, a Jim Harbaugh. You don't look at whoever else. The Giants has been it's a bad offense. I don't know why you want anything to do with that, really, in my opinion. Like, why would you want to be associated with that? Like, for crying out loud, it's bad enough with Brian Johnson. We do not need the Giants' level of degeneracy in this offense, okay? It's bad enough as it is. We want an improvement, not a regression, right? But as I said originally, nothing screams like how good or bad your offense is until something goes a bit tits up with it, right? You look at what the Eagles did in 2017, where Carson Wentz went down, Nick Foles comes in, beat the Rams, go on this incredible run because they simplify it and they make it about the players. They build around the strengths, okay? You look at the Niners. I mean, for God's sake, like, who is Brock Purdy? No one's ever heard of him until about a year ago. He drops in, Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant can somehow orchestrate one of the most complex offenses in the NFL because it's made simple and it's built around his strengths and it works, okay? The Eagles, temporarily for about 3 minutes, lose A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts goes down, and you would think, right, this was XFL preseason play. Not even NFL preseason play. This isn't Eagles training camp. This isn't Eagles OTAs. I've never seen an offense look so just out of sorts. Like, it was awful. No one had a clue what was going on. The offensive line looked like they were big dancing bears galloping around with arms everywhere. Running backs didn't have a clue. Quez Watkins all of a sudden was the star of the show, which is the equivalent of, buying the rights to WWE and making, like, what's the little guy called? Finley's little, fella. I forgot his name. Hornswoggle. That's him. Hornswoggle be your main eventer. It's like having a WWE and having Hornswoggle have the belt, right? And you just, like, realistically, if the Eagles offense had any substance, okay, Mariota could at least get the offense to move down the field. Quez Watkins could at least run some routes that would put him in a good position. He made one good play. Has he retweeted it, by the way? Has anyone checked on Quez Watkins' Twitter account? I'm amazed he wouldn't have put some PFF graphic and a highlight reel. And you know what? He's already got a hoodie with his face on it. Maybe he'll get a baseball cap with his face on it now. Or like a number about the amount of yards it was for the touchdown. Egomaniac. Freak. Unbelievable. Right? I haven't even started on that thing. But the fact that Marcus Mariota goes in that offense and it looks substantially worse than what it was. Like, what are we doing? Like, the lifeline for that offense are the players. And anyone that says, and that was evidence for me, anyone that can sit here and say, oh, well, it's not Sirianni, it's not Johnson, it's the players. They're just not executing, man. They're just not executing, bro. They're just not executing, my dude. Bullshit. Because you take out A.J. Brown, you take out Jalen Hurts, and the house of cards crumbles down, right? Like an iceberg in the polar ice cap somewhere, just crumbles to smithereens. And what was left of this Eagles offense disintegrates into the abyss. They cannot do anything until the fourth quarter, where it's got you score against the Giants in garbage time. The Giants have given up. They don't care. They're up 28 scores. Who gives a shit? Let Marcus Mariota run around for a bit. Let Quez Watkins get his highlight reel to put on Twitter so he can put some Drake over it and put a sneezing emoji because he loves it so much. They're like, yeah, you do what you want, Eagles. I'm going to go check my Clash of Clans. Hope my island haven't been raided. It's pathetic. The lifeline of that Eagles team are the players. And the players, they look like they're checked out to me. Because you take out AJ, you take out Jalen, you take out everything else that's decent. And there's nothing. There's no heartbeat. The scheme should be the heartbeat. The limbs should be the players. The arm should be Jalen Hurts. The eyes should be A.J. Brown. The legs should be Devontae Smith. Instead, nothing is anything. It's just rolled up newspaper on the floor. The game plan sucks. Nothing works. The players aren't executing anything because they can't. I've never seen... Look, I've watched Eagles in week 18s and 17s for a while. I've watched every preseason game for years. I have never seen such a lack of just desire, of belief, of commitment than what I saw against the Giants. The lifeline of that team are the players. You take one star out, you take out AJ, the offense is dead. You take out Jalen, the offense is dead. And anyone trying to pin this on Jalen Hurts, like at this point, sorry, I just read K1's comment, and yeah, I didn't realize it's now been 20 minutes of me screaming at you, so I do affectionately apologize, but it's something we've just had to get out. We'll go through some of your comments now. I know we've got 23 of you in YouTube. If you are enjoying this somehow and you are getting some catharsis out of this, if you could leave a like, it would be amazing. It is the best way, as we say, to support the stream. Shout out to Patrick Bernard and Phil Stifle for liking the stream on Facebook. I need a drink, so we're going to get to some of your comments now because I can't handle it anymore. What quality coach will play under Howie because they'll want their own staff and control over the 53, which Howie will never let happen? And look, I'll say this with that as well, because I know we've had rumors about Belichick and Harbaugh, and I can't even, how do you even pronounce that as a British person? Harbaugh? I say Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh isn't even a word. Harbaugh. That's not a word. Harbaugh. Jim from Michigan. All right. Regardless, if it gets to a point, Jim is one of the most eclectic college coaches of all time. Was a bit shit in the NFL. He had his moments, sure, but he went back to college, didn't he? Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time, outside of the obvious ones. I was going to say Don Shula, I suppose, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Belichick's up there. If you're a team that you cannot facilitate some of the greatest coaches of all time because your owner would throw a paddy and your GM wants roster control, something tells me that's an Eagles problem and not a coach problem. Something tells me that your team should be able to accommodate and move things around and be flexible to bring in some of the greatest minds this sport has ever seen. And the fact that they can't, because it's automatically assumed that they'd want roster control and the Eagles would never get it up. I think genuinely that's probably half of the reason this team continues to go through the same cycle. All right. It is the same cycle since the end of the Andy Reid era. You bring in a head coach. They start out great. It goes tits up. They implode. So you fire the coach. Then you bring in another coach. The GM works and wonders. Some of the square pegs are into round holes. It starts out great. It goes tits up. You fire the coach. You're left with a bit of a mess. You fix it. Square pegs, round holes. New coach comes in. Starts off great. Goes tits up. Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni. It's been the same pattern with varying levels of success. Because what happens is that there just is a clash. There is always some sort of clash. And whether it was Doug Peterson, I think with the Jim Schwartz defense, for me, it was more obvious because you had corners that just did not fit the scheme. Guys like Rasul Douglas who fit elsewhere. Guys like Eric Rowe from the previous scheme who fit elsewhere. Okay, it happens. Coaches want guys that fit their system. It's why the tight end was brought in from the Indianapolis Colts last year for Nick Sirianni. But when you get to a point now where the Eagles GM is trying to build a team of leaders, and I said this on Friday's show, of leaders, hard-nosed characters, former team captains from championship-winning teams, from championship pedigree teams, coached by all-time greats. They come in and they see Nick Sirianni going, Eagles beat the Cowboys, I like ice cream. Eagles beat the Cowboys, let's have a party. I'm happy, you're happy. And they're just sat there like, look, I'm the last person to throw shade at Jalen Hurts. But my God, if I make a mistake in life, okay, you want to look at it, reflect on it. In sport especially, the NFL is one of the few sports where you have that instant ability to sit on an iPad and watch the highlight of or the tape of what's just happened, go over it with your QBT, go over it with a coach and see what's gone on, okay? Jalen Hurts will make a mistake and sit there like this. Until the next drive. I don't think I've once seen him with an iPad. And I'm not criticizing him, but I'm saying there is a different type of player. It's a different type of leader. He is different. He just is. And you have Smitty, Dickerson, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Keely Ringo, you can name after name after name that has been a captain, that has been a leader, that has come from somewhere big, and they just lead differently. They lead differently. And now you've got Sirianni scrambling to save anything, and I think the shine's worn off. Okay? Winning fixes everything. You can overlook a lot if you're winning, all right? Realistically, if you're in a relationship and the sex is great, you overlook a lot, I'm sure. You just do, unfortunately, right? If you go in and the sex is bad, you start worrying a bit more and you notice things a bit more. Or let's just say, I don't know, you love going out for nice meals, all right? And you go out for some lovely meals, but everything else around you is shit, right? Or alternatively, then you start going for takeaway and horrible meals, and you pay more attention to everything else. Winning fixes everything. If your mind is happy, you can overlook the rest of it. It doesn't matter. All right? It doesn't matter that your head coach is a little bit cringe and a little bit of a bozo and just really fiery and loves football, because you're winning and you've got an incredible team around you, and the team can push to a win. They can overcome any coaching setback because they've got the ability to do it. But when the coaching, becomes restraining and it chains them, and you are forced to endure what must be, tough at times, coaching from Nick Sirianni in the most unliteral way imaginable, that these players are going, what are we doing? What are we doing? Every week we believe in Nick Sirianni, we believe in the coaches, it's just execution. Execute then! Execute then! If it's just execution, do it then! Because you're not doing it, are you? Which tells me it's a coaching problem. And I need to go back to some of your comments again. I just love how we've just got endless. Look, I'm glad we're on a Hall of Fame stream. I'm glad we're putting in one for the ages, because Liam, sorry, get to our comments 5 minutes ago. I know, I am sorry. Look, it's just been, I needed to get this off my chest. Golden Globes worthy. I'm glad. 20 minutes into this stream is the equivalent of me screaming into my pillow last night before I went to sleep. I'm happy it's not just me. But I just don't know what else we can do. Exactly, right? The quarterback holds a tablet. You remember that Drake meme where he's in the Apple store and he goes, oh, right? That's what the tablet does. You can see the last play. You can see what the defense was. You can see what went wrong, right? Jalen literally sits there going, and look, that's great. Football isn't golf. It's not an individual sport. Look, I've played match play golf stuff, and I find myself going into this weird, I can't even explain it. I'm sure if anyone plays golf and it's been competitive, even at a very amateur level, you understand. Or any sport. Tennis, probably another one. Tennis, baseball to a degree, cricket to a degree, anything where it's just you for a minute. There's no one else around you. It's just you on a one-on-one matchup, okay? You do sort of just lock in. And I find myself holding putts and my head twitches down. So I'm like, done it, good. And it's I don't control it. I'm not purposely doing it. Maybe it's just a bit, something up there. But I'm a bit twitchy. And I don't really know. I noticed it when I played a match play thing recently. But Jalen's got that. But there is no he's just you just leave him to it. Just leave him over there. Let him do his thing. Let him. Should we not talk to him? No, he'll do it out. Yeah, but Nick, you're his coach. Should you not, tell him where he went? No, he'll figure it out. That's Jalen. Yeah, that's my Jalen, my old bunny bear. That's Jalen, baby. And I feel like there just is no communication, and you're probably doomed to repeat the same mistakes. So it's only something little that I thought about the other day, but I think it definitely is worth its weight in unfortunate gold. Hopefully not $250 million worth. And again, I think for me, the issue now is that the Eagles have tried to build a team. They keep trying to build teams, right? Like they're not telling the coaching staff. It's what it feels like. Is it only Howie Roseman does a phenomenal job at building a roster that Howie Roseman would like to coach, right? That is the best way I can word it. Whether it's whatever we saw under Chip Kelly, and we saw how wrong it went initially, under Doug Peterson, square pegs, round holes. Okay, from corners to wide outs, it doesn't matter. And then they realize that culturally, people who yap a lot aren't great for the organization. Nigel Badham's umbrella incident, not great. quarterback holdouts, Fletcher Cox holdouts. Like, there's too much noise, too much distraction. It's not great. So next time around, I'm going to build a team of hardcore war veteran leaders that will ride to hell and back for this team. And that's all that matters. Forget anything else. So we're going to target these very specifically character-based traits, and then sign a head coach. I don't really care who the coach is. Yeah, but we've got a coach that's very... Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, bring him in. Yeah, fuck it. I'll build a team I want, mate. I'm Howie Roseman. I'll do what I want. And to Howie's credit, he builds remarkable teams. Very seldom are they ever aligned with what a coach can do. And Nick Sirianni, if you remember, very early on, when he was first brought in, was all very, we play to the players' strengths and I'll mold my offense around the players. I think what happens is that he's a young coach and you just say anything to get in the door, isn't it? You know, you say anything you want to get the job. Yeah, it's like, look, dude, I had a job at a DIY store. I don't know shit about wood or gates or fences or Christ knows cement. I don't know what I'm doing, right? But I'm like, yeah, I love cement. I'm always doing DIY around the house. Like, to get the job, right? So Sirianni's first few weeks, I'll build the offense around the players. The players matter most to me. They do. They really matter. And what they're good at, I'm good at. Yeah. Fast forward a year, you get a bit of a coaching ego and you find your system. I don't want him to run that route. I want him to run over there. Stop doing that. And you just get like this weird disconnect where Sirianni has got his offense that is so limited that it doesn't matter who's running it, no one can do better because he's doing the opposite of what he said he'd do day one, which is build the offense around the players. What skill set does AJ Brown have? Someone tell me in the back of the classroom. Physical, elite catch radius, somehow very quick for his size, but he's 6'1", but plays like he's 6'5". Sounds like a 1975 lyric. He's 6'1" when he plays like he's 6'5". Love it, right? But realistically, a receiver that good should be played as a possession receiver. Should be played on curls and comebacks so he can shield the ball, absorb contact. He shouldn't be lined up on screens or realistically slants or anything because he's not built for that. It's fantastic he can do it because he's a generational talent. Someone like Devontae Smith, who is, in my opinion, one of the top 3, top 4 most nuanced route runners in the entire NFL. Okay, should not be running screens, should not be running curls and comebacks, and they get it mixed up. They get it mixed up, right? Like they just do. To me, that's not how it should work. Like you should have clear, defined roles, and if you want to go expanding that, like Duck says there, AJ's a yak receiver. He's got the skill set to do it, but you've got to mix it up and allow them the flexibility and the freedom to do it, rather than just like go. Well, screw it. Yeah, you do that screen. Yeah, Smitty, can you block? Can you block on a wide receiver screen? I'd love that, Devontae. If you, in your 6 foot, 38-pound frame, could lay out a block for a 6'1", 400-pound receiver, that would be brilliant. Like, what part of that offense is playing to the strengths of the players? And I don't know if it is genuinely, it's just a natural coaching cycle of ego. And the Eagles have a really unfortunate habit of bringing in guys that just develop their system and then go, it's my way or the highway. Or is it Howie Roseman just in the kitchen, making a cake, alarms going off everywhere, not really caring, as long as his cake looks nice, as long as his cake tastes the best, as long as he can lick the bowl afterwards, as long as he gets his draft picks and his players and he's, oh, well, we didn't reach here and we got, value, value. As long as we get that, that's all that matters. Because I don't know anymore. Like, I'm having a crisis thinking about it. I don't know which is which. Is it a coaching thing? Is it a front office thing? But whatever it is, we're going to go through the same cycle. And that upsets me. Because in 6 months' time, someone's getting canned. And it probably isn't going to be Matt Patricia and his, weird, fucking Toy Story 2 Owl's Toy Barn looking ass. It's not going to be him, is it? It's going to be probably Nick Sirianni. Does he deserve it? I arguably think so. But that's not the point. because I'm going to go to another head coach, and the team's going to be a bit fractured, and you're going to lose the offensive line members and the leaders, and AJ's going to probably get a bit funny, and Devontae's going to want a payday, and Darius Slay's going to be tweeting all off season. I don't know about man. Great, that's lovely, Devontae, but sorry, Darius. No, not that. I love Smitty. Smitty should be cherished to given $1 million bag for every snap he plays. Darius Slay should be gone. James Bradbury should be gone. You can sack out every linebacker, get them gone, rebuild that position. How about for once, stop drafting linemen and add just one linebacker or one safety? One. I know Sidney Brown was great. That's fine. More of that, please. I cannot have another offseason where there is a linebacker sat 12th, 13th pick, just falling, and the Eagles go, I want to draft a guard. Why do you want to draft a guard? I think I want a guard. I want to tackle. I can't do another year of it. I understand how he's good at building teams. Howie Roseman builds teams. We can all understand, I think, now that Howie Roseman would coach. This isn't Madden, sunshine. You can't coach a team on the field. You are getting players that suit the coaches. The coaches, in turn, should be molding their system around the players. Not this weird thing of, well, I like these players. Well, I like this system. All right, well, I'm going to give you these players then. Well, they ain't going to do well in my system. It's weird. It's embarrassing. And it shouldn't be going on. And we're 37 minutes in and all I've done is scream and shout. And I haven't let it all out. So I do need a hug, K1. You're right. How many 200 million QBs have ever won a Super Bowl, let alone run a dynasty? I would say the same, Joe. Genuinely, I wouldn't have paid Jalen that much. But I would have let his contract run. This is me from a purely strategical, unemotional perspective, dissociating from Jalen Hurts for a minute. Forget what he's done. Forget the player. Forget the production. Just focus on the price. I would much rather invest money and capital to get in a team balance. And if you can secure a rookie or... Look, we're seeing what the Broncos have done, okay? You're seeing what guys like the Browns have done with Joe Flacco, okay? You've seen it before. It's not alien. Matt Stafford has been to a Super Bowl with the Rams, right? Jared Goff wasn't that far away. You can win with mediocre quarterbacks so long as the rest of the team lift it up. And I feel like it's a lot easier to have 52 guys lifting up one than one heaving 53. So whenever I do a Madden save, and it is the worst analogy to give and the most armchair analyst bollocks ever, but I don't pay quarterbacks big money. I just draft one every 3 years and you keep the chain moving and you get a first round pick. And then you get in a developmental guy and then you let him go and the developmental guy's fringe good enough. So you bring in a Tyrod Taylor kind of character. Then he goes. Then your guy's good enough. You bring in the next one. That, for me, there shouldn't be a just stalwart quarterback unless he's truly generational, like Patrick Mahomes. And I think he genuinely, of any quarterback in the entire NFL, is the only one I would pay that substantial amount of money. There's no reason to. And again, this isn't about Jalen Hurts as such. It's just from, and I don't think it's even relevant directly to this conversation because the Eagles have made their decision. The Eagles have continued to build around it and the team's good enough for now. They've got a 3-year window until that contract really kicks in where they've got to worry about it. So for the time being, Jalen Hurts isn't really a factor against their salary cap. Guys like Darius Slay are, though. And he can fuck off. So there's that. I cannot be a GM. And this is what astounds me if we're going back there. And I'm sorry for going off on another tangent. But this is what astounds me, all right? I've just, spent 40 minutes talking about the characters on the team and the leaders and the captains and guys like AJ, who has become a tremendous leader and has really stepped up over the past 4 or 5 weeks to try and cement himself and rally the troops and do something for the team, right? Guys like Jalen Hurts, former team captains like Milton Williams, there's been a real emphasis on getting team captains and leaders in. Why is Darius Slay a team captain? Why is Quez Watkins on the team? Why is Kenny Gainwell still on the team? When they're acting like complete bozos. For crying out loud, Darius Slay is in the locker room after the Eagles were just blown out by the Giants. Okay? 27, they just got dropped on. And Nick Sirianni's in the locker room. Jeffrey Lurie walks in the locker room. You can only imagine the level of conversation that was being had between those four walls and those 53 men. And somehow in that window, Darius Slay finds the time to post on Twitter an outfit of Christian McCaffrey. The worst offense you can commit is dick riding without a license. But to do it against a team that blew you out a few weeks ago, while your team just got blown out, like you're not even part of the team. It's just yeah, man. Christian looks so good, bro. That's amazing, my guy. Brilliant, man. Who gives a shit? Your team's just been blown out 27-10. Why are you on Instagram? Put the phone down. Look around you. You have got young players, young corners who are wondering why their world is crumbling, why this team that they've watched for months has just fallen to pieces around them. And the guy they look up to, this multi-time Pro Bowler, this legend of the game, is sat there sucking off Christian McCaffrey. It's like, what? Stop it. There's no need. Your team needs you to be a leader. And every time I talk about it on Twitter, someone's like, damn, man, Eagles fans are worried about the wrong kind of stuff. This is embarrassing. No, it's not. He's a captain. He should be there helping set the tone for young guys. Not when the owner is in the locker room, like, shouting at you, coming down like a ton of bricks on you for being blown out by the Giants, losing to the Cardinals, blowing your division, to sit there going, you seen Christian McCaffrey's new coat, mate? Fucking brilliant. I'm going to put that on my story. I'm having that on my... He looks lovely. When I see him in a few weeks and we get to the championship round, can't wait to give him a hug. Can't wait to say, oh, Christian, I love your new coat, Christian. Can I touch it, Christian? Christian, please let me wear it, Christian. Oh, Christian friend. Unbelievable. It's embarrassing. Sorry for the rant, but that doesn't sit well. And you can't, again, sit there building a team one way, all being character-based, and then allow that behavior to just go unchallenged. Like, it doesn't make sense. I've never seen anything like it. Like, for crying out loud. I get petty, right? If I see a PSN writer share something about another network, right? I genuinely get petty. And not many of them do, because, you know, they're loyal to the boys and the brand. But it happens, you know, they're every right to if they retweet a story or appear on a podcast or something. But I wince like that. I wouldn't share something. I wouldn't share a Ruben Frank fit pic on my story with some fire emojis. You go, looking good, Rube dog. I can't think of anything worse. I just wouldn't do it. Like, let alone if PSN's in the mud and we go through a bad week and NBC's red hot, I wouldn't find a Ruben Frank fit pic and go, yeah, Rube, looking great. Like, oh, get a grip. Get a grip. Genuinely. It's... What's embarrassing, says Duck, is our coaches can't even teach the player to tackle properly. We can't even get them to read a coverage properly. And I think that's partly on Matt Patricia going like, look at this cup. This says Starbucks. Not anymore, it doesn't, boys. It's called Splinkagagam. And that's what you're going to call it from now on. This Starbucks play, Spliggenblangem. Right? What's this one? Spliggenblangem. What's that one? Flaggenblogem. Right? Why has he made that change? Whose genius idea was that? Matt Patricia walks in, lobs something over there, right? And just goes, right, we're rewording everything. Everything you thought you knew about this defense this year, gone. That chair, that's now a table. That table is now a car, by the way. The door behind me, it's not a door, it's an elevator. Get used to the verbiage, boys. Soak it in. What's the matter, guys? Is it too verbiage for you? Let's get rolling. Who thinks... And am I surprised it's Matt Patricia that's done that? Am I shocked that the guy that, you know, went to war with Darius Slay, that literally hit a TNT dynamite launch pad bomb on his own team? Am I shocked that it's him that's come in with his own maniacal take of everyone needs to relearn everything? It's like, could you... The genuine best comparison you can make is that you are the... What's the man called that does it? The orchestrator of a choir? I don't know what he's fucking... The matey boy that does this with the little stick, right? And he gets injured. He has COVID. He's out for a week. So you bring in a replacement and he goes, play it in the key of E sharp. And they're like, what? We haven't done it in E sharp. You're coming in a second earlier. Violins, turn it down a bit. Drums come up. and it just sounds like absolute audible vomit. Conductor, that's the one. When the conductor comes in, he gets ill, they change it, right? It will just sound like audible vomit. It's the equivalent of what's going on. Like, and I don't know what anyone expected. But I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. Shout out to $1 Million Soup for. I hope you stick around for some more streams because I would say this is the standard. But unlike Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, I'm not disingenuous. This isn't the standard. This is abnormal. This is bad. All right. I'm not going to pretend that it's a mythical stream level that I hit this every week because I don't. I'm not a liar. Oh, I've never been so angry. Genuinely, I've never been. There is no E sharp. Oh, don't worry. Matt Patricia will invent it. It's fine. It's fine. But what's up, Reality Check? Nice to see you in. Lindy's in the chat. Ductors, I told everyone this is what would happen when Patricia came in because he's a fraud. I agree. I don't know why he was brought in the first place, to be honest with you. I do need a drink. I hope that's it. I think I've earned a drink. I've lost some blood vessels at this point. Oh, grief. Well then, right, 13 minutes. Do we talk about the Bucks or have we still got some more, have we got some more in the tank? I have been, very, very angry this stream. So I would apologize, but I guess it's good content and I'll have fun clipping out. But my hairline's going backwards. Look at what you're doing to me, Nicholas Sirianni. There's nothing happy about that, is there? I can slap my head because of this team. I have a receding hairline because of this putrid offense. And it's your fault. I look like Megamind over here. The Joe Burrow comparisons are long gone. Because of it's your fault. All right? I was fine at the start of the year. I was happy. Everything was great. There were wins. The standard meant something. AJ Brown was breaking records. And now look at it. Look at it. Embarrassing. Patricia was brought in because of the Lurie Pats fetish. I think Duck might be the only man angrier than me. I love it. Yeah, I feel like there might be three agendas on the team. It can feel like that way. No, your hairline is genetics, sir. I hate how he knew my dad was bald. I hate how he knew it. Like, no, he just intrinsically went, his dad must have been bald. His dad must have been bald. Brits speak the English language so fluently. Liam's used half of the Webster dictionary in this. I'm glad this one's going in the rafters. If there's anything that can come from this loss, it's that. I have more fun talking about the Eagles when they're bad, which is very toxic of me. I understand that. I feel like you either want the Eagles to be really good or really bad. And thankfully, they've somehow been both this year. How bad is that? How can a team be up here and down here in the same season? It is like two completely different teams. I don't. There will be a 30 for 30 documentary on what has happened to this team. And I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of it, if I'm honest with you. No one knows if it's Sirianni, if it's Lurie, if it's Roseman, if it's Jalen, if it's AJ, if it's the coaching staff. All I know is it's shocking. And that's all we've got. What's damning, not on her, it says Tom, is that Wentz in 2019 was in a more desperate situation with no receivers, clinched a division over the same Giants. That's fair. Yeah, that is very fair. And I think that the thing is, what I will say, Tom, is that there was more spirit in that team because there had to be, because they were shit. And I think what happens is when a team is that good and they buy too much stock in their own company, that they're too bought into their own hype, that they don't see the forest for the trees, and complacency is set in. And this Eagles team just doesn't feel like it knows it's good anymore. Like, it felt like it knew it was good. It felt the Eagles knew they were good for too long. And then they got slapped about and they just had an absolute crisis. And it's like, when you see like a rock star dye their hair, shave it, something goes weird with them. Like, how many pop culture, like someone like Kanye West, right? Probably the worst example to give, but someone that just goes completely off the rails after a breakup or something goes a bit wrong, right? And it's like, what happened? You're the same guy. You can make the same music. What changed? And it's like, it's just an environmental, maybe it's an environmental thing. Like, the Eagles they got too good too quick. I don't think anyone expected them to realistically beat the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Bills. I, for one, didn't. And I was like, for me, as heartbreaking as it is, the win over the Bills, having beaten the former two, was a statement of intent. It was a statement of we belong, that we're an elite team. We have just beaten the very best the AFC has to offer. We've won our Super Bowl rematch. We've beaten the Dolphins and we've beaten the Bills. Throw someone else at us. Give it your best shot. And as soon as that arm comes out and it's give it your best shot and they get smacked undefended in the jaw and they get rocked and they get a bit dazed and then it's bang and bang and they just get beaten down and they don't know how to come back. Because all they've known is the ascent. They've not fallen off the mountain yet to come back up. All there is at the top of the mountain is a peak. That's it. They peaked. They come back down and they don't know how to come back up without going all the way to the bottom. It's been the same thing for this Eagles team for the better part of a decade. They can get all the way to the top and it's a straight trip back down. Somehow, some way. And from there, give it 5 years, they'll be back. Give it 3 years. They'll have some new coach come in called John Salamenier. He's going to come in and no one's ever heard of him. And he probably speaks a bit funny and has a gammy eye or something. And he's going to lead the team to a Super Bowl. And everyone's going to go, wow, John, you'll never pay for a car again. We love you, John. Thank you for a Super Bowl ring. And then the Eagles will collapse again. There is no sustenance. All this team knows is highest of highs, lowest of lows. They cannot find a middle ground. I'm going to cry the first time I see Hurts under center consistently. I don't even know what I formation or single back set is anymore. Has he ever been under center this year? I think the Eagles should have one standard formation at this point. That's it. That they have one offensive look and they just run about. Do they even have a playbook? Has anyone seen Brian Johnson have a playbook or a tablet or anything? Or does he literally just go... It's like when you play football when you're kids. I mean, like I only ever played one game of football. Being British, no one was really into it. But it's just your mates run where they want and you just lob it to them. Really? Like that's sort of what's going on. It's just completely free reign. He's been under center twice. The worst thing is I can't tell if that's a joke or actually serious. And the fact it could be serious is also a joke. So hate to see it. Relationship reference. There's plenty more where that came from. They spent all their energy pulling wins out their arse and started to believe their own hype. Exactly. Spencer, Spendog, I completely agree. I said earlier, I caught so much heat and I hate... The thing is, right, not to toot my own horn or Darius slay myself, but I do get things right a lot with this Eagles team. Okay, I've got John Hightower wrong. And Jalen Reagor, you can have them. But like, early on, I was saying they shouldn't be like 5. I remember distinctly saying, like 6 weeks in, how many of those wins was Jalen Hurts responsible for? You could take him out and then have the same win record. This team wasn't good enough to have those wins. I started panicking after the first loss. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't matter. Since day one, I was very vocal about the exact same thing. About the offense looking bleak. About relying on Desai's, second half adjustments. And I hate the fact that I actually was correct. Like, I wish I was wrong. I'd love nothing more than to be wrong about this team. I want Jalen Hurts to go out and throw the game of his life and beat up the Bucs to the tune of 43-10. But it ain't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. Like, I hate it. He's been undersigned 9 times in 3 years. Been 3 times this year, and those 3s are in... I don't know if that's accurate or not. Like, is that a sarcastic joke or accurate? Because both would be hilarious. And both are probably valid. I have no idea. That's terrifying. Do you know how worrying that is? That I can read a comment like that and think, that's funny, isn't he? Look at this joker. And he's like, no, I'm deadly serious. He's been under center 3 times. Like, that is wild. Absolutely wild. Hey, Liam, can you speak Philadelphian? That game was a messed up jawn when Hurts threw the jawn to the jawn. See, I don't know if I have to say jawn or like John. Because I feel like it should be a John. Like, he threw the John, but then I sound like I'm saying John. He definitely did not throw the John. Although, there's been no Johnny used. There's no protection, so don't worry about it. So, I can say jawn. I haven't got it into my daily vocabulary just yet, but I'm sure at some point we will. Dak Prescott had the best season being under center all year. I want to see Jalen under guard. How much worse? Put him under tackle. He's going to roll to the right anyway, isn't he? We all know Jalen Hurts is going to roll to the right and lob a pass out of bounds or lob it to an opposing defender. Put him over the tackle. Give him a head start. Help him out. He's going there anyway. It's beyond me. Desire was scapegoated. I completely agree. He lost to two very talented offensive, and then you pull in. I couldn't agree more, Duck. I genuinely, you speak so much sense. I would marry you at this point. I'd make you head coach. It can't be any worse. But I genuinely think you're correct that Desire was scapegoated. Changing him has made no difference. The defense looked different for a week, and that was only because no one knew what the fuck they were doing. If we're being honest with ourselves, no one had a Scooby-Doo what was going on. So, you know, it is what it is. Put Jalen on the tackle and run the Philly special. We have the great Kenny G. Oh, no. There's nothing great about him. There's nothing great about him. There's nothing great about him. I want to cry. 20 likes. Dude, Brian, if I went for another hour, I think I'd actually have a crisis. I don't think I'm allowed. But I didn't even realize the time, to be honest. I probably would have done it unironically. When the show ends in 2 minutes now, it's Brian's fault. But we are going to have to call it there or thereabouts, just because I need a drink and a lie down, preferably after that. But thank you all for hanging out this evening and listening to one of the most prolific rants I've been on in recent memory. I hope you all got some value out of it and some laughing stock. I will see you all on, what day are we today? Monday. I don't even know anymore. I don't know where I am. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm beaten. I'm bruised. But we'll see you on Wednesday. We'll go over it all again. If you could leave a like on the stream, it would be amazing. I think I would like to say I've earned a like tonight. I've gone the extra mile. I've blown out my voice box tonight just for content purposes. You know, it had to be done. So if you could leave a like, it would be amazing. Make sure you subscribe as well, just so you know when we do go live. But in case you don't want to, you just want to come and pop in periodically. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. I will grace you with my dulcet tones, or what's left of them at this point. Don't you stop, I believe. I love you to bits, Brian. I think I've got to tap out, though. I can't do another hour of that. I won't be able to speak tomorrow. I will say this. I question how Nick got his job, which is a shotgun RPO. I want to know what... Well, I understand, like, Shane Steichen was probably responsible for a lot. But did we not have the exact same conversation? Before we go, did we not have the exact same conversation when Frank Reich left and Dougie P's offense went a bit tits up? Everyone went, oh, my God, it was all Frank Reich. And then Frank Reich got fired, like, 4 times in 3 days. Like, so... As much as we can say, oh, it was Reich's offense, it was Steichen's offense. I don't care whose it is, but it changes and then it gets shit. So stop it. Like, I don't know what Nick Sirianni showed them in the interview, other than, again, lying about the fact he can mold his offense around the talent that he then just doesn't do. He forgot that bit 3 years later, that he has to build an offense around the talent, and just kept trying to run the same thing. Brian's right. He's like, so what is your view of the West Coast offense? Yep. What do you mean? Yep. West Coast, baby. Opposite of the East, isn't it? Damn, this guy's good. So what do you think about team building, Nick? Should we, where should we prioritize things? All priorities. How about we prioritize communication, leadership, teamwork, and football? Howie's just gone, fuck me, I don't know what to... He's incredible. He knows every answer. That's exactly what we need. We need to talk. We need to get football players. Why have we never done this before, Howard? And Howie's gone, okay, we'll get some football players. And that's how we ended up here. If Nick is a culture at this point, what does he offer? Aneurysms, Spencer. He offers aneurysms. But yeah, I completely agree. Everyone is 100% right. Sorry. It's definitely something to do with what, and that worries me. That does. I look, me and Brian can vouch for the fact that we have heard rumblings from the previous era, nothing in this era, about how involved Jeffrey Lurie has been with the team building and the day-to-day operations of the team. And it isn't exactly a glowing review. I will say that. And I do also find it a little bit conspicuous that some of the big coaches that the Eagles do target and interview then take jobs elsewhere. And then the only ones that do come to Philadelphia are the ones that aren't experienced enough to know any better. Chip Kelly, college. Doug Peterson was a quarterback for a bit, was all right, was a coordinator. Nick Sirianni, wide receivers coach turned coordinator. Like, the guys that say, yes, I would love to join this, like, not knowing there's like a hellscape beyond. So maybe it is a Jeffrey Lurie thing, but I know he's very much involved with the day-to-day running of the teams. And yeah, we've heard some tales. And yeah, waiting for the article. It's a scathing review about how this era went by Chris Infante. Chris was the one that spilled a lot of the beans, and we're happy to have that sort of content on PSN. No one believed him at first, and it turns out he was literally 100% right about all of it. How about Love Actually? I'll tell you what, if the Eagles were a character from Love Actually, there would be Matey Boy that goes out with the Spanish girl and doesn't understand her. And, you know, they love each other anyway, but he doesn't have a clue what she's saying, and she doesn't have a clue what he's saying, and then they fall in a lake. Only in this one, they drown. They drown in the lake, and it all goes wrong. Yeah. So, on that positive note, guys, I'm going to make like a banana and split. I will see you on Wednesday, where we'll do this all over again, I'm sure, with some news updates and previewing the weekend ahead. We also have to acknowledge really quickly there will be a pre-game stream on Monday. Can't wait for that. So Monday evening. Oh, she's Portuguese. I thought she was French for a while. Portuguese, look. The more you know. Look, if we've learned nothing else in this stream, we've learned the girl in Love Actually is Portuguese. You're welcome. Yeah, that's for free. That's from Duck for free to the 24 of you watching this. You're welcome. On that note, guys, thank you very much for hanging out and putting up with me screaming down your earlobes for the past 1 hour and 2 minutes. I beyond appreciate you all. Hopefully Wednesday stream's a little bit happier, but I'm glad you all enjoyed this one. Take care. I would say go Birds, but they'll just fly off a cliff. So I'll see you soon. See you Wednesday. Have a nice evening.